Charlie's question caused Aunt Lena's expression to change suddenly. All of a sudden she panicked. Never dreamt that Charlie would ask her this question. So she panicked and said, This, I have never heard of this. If someone was really looking for you, we would definitely not hide it. Is there something in it? Misunderstanding? Charlie shook his head. This can't be a misunderstanding. From my heart, I can't accept the explanation of misunderstanding. As he said with a pious face, Aunt Lena, I'm not here to pursue you. Anyway, you saved my life and raised me for 10 years. Even if there is something in it, Charlie will never hate you. When Aunt Lena heard this, her expression became extremely ashamed. Charlie continued, I just want to know, when he came here, why did the orphanage tell him that there is no one like me here? If I remember correctly, what our orphanage has always been looking forward to most is the child's relatives can come to the door to pick up the child. My dad's best friend comes to me. Why can't even he get my information? Who was hiding my information from him? Aunt Lena pursed her mouth, looking flustered around. She dared not look into Charlie's eyes, let alone answer Charlie's questions. Charlie had a panoramic view of her performance. He knew that Aunt Lena must know the secret. So he looked at her and asked seriously, Auntie, if I guessed correctly, then you should know that I am the young master of the Eastcliff family, right? As soon as he said this, the pen in Aunt Lena's hand snapped to the ground. Charlie thought she got up and was going to pick up the pen, but unexpectedly, she bowed her waist and walked around behind the table, and then knelt in front of him with a plop. Charlie exclaimed, Auntie, what are you? Aunt Lena knocked her head on the ground and said bitterly, Master, I am sorry you. One word, Master, made Charlie's whole person struck by lightning. At this moment, he felt as if he was slammed into the heart by a huge force, and the whole person subconsciously took 2 steps back, and asked in shock, Auntie, you? Aunt Lena cried and said, Master, I have always known your identity. I am actually a member of the Wade family. It's just that I have a humble status. I didn't have the chance to serve the Wade family in Eastcliff. The branch of Wade's family is miscellaneous, so you had never seen me before you were 8 years old. Charlie forced himself to hold his breath and asked, Auntie, did the Wade family ask you to bring me here? Aunt Lena raised her head, choked with tears on her face. Back to Master, it was Stephen Stewart who let me down. Charlie was shocked and blurted out, Is it Stephen? Yes. Aunt Lena nodded, crying, and said, Back then, I was not permanently stationed in Orus Hill, but was arranged to work in Zhanghai. One night, Steward Stephen sent someone to urgently take me from Zhanghai to Orus Hill, and then together with another member of the Wade family, I took over this orphanage. After a few days, we replaced all the staff in the entire orphanage with members of the Wade family. After all arrangements were made, I found you only under Stephen Stewart's instruction and brought you to the orphanage. Charlie was extremely shocked. This is simply the thing he has heard since he was a child, and it makes him feel unbelievable. He entered this orphanage at the age of 8 and lived here for 10 years. Only now he knows that all the staff in this orphanage were from the Wade family? Could it be that he spent the entire childhood and adolescence ignorantly under the supervision of the Wade family? He cannot accept this reality. But he knew very well that Aunt Lena had never lied to him. What is this? He suppressed his anger and asked her, Auntie Lena, I want to know, why did you bother to do this? And also do everything possible to hide my information? What was your purpose? Aunt Lena cried and said, Master, the death of your parents was not an accident, but a gangster intended to murder your family of 3. What? Charlie blurted out, My parents, were they killed? Aunt Lena said with a red eye, Do you remember the details of the year? Your parents rented an old house in Orus Hill incognito, and then they changed your name so that you could study in Orus Hill's No. 1 primary school. Charlie nodded. I remember that my parents died in a car accident when I was in school, so you mean, my parents were killed by others, right? Yes. Aunt Lena nodded her head. The group of people who killed your parents in the past faked the scene of the car accident. They immediately prepared to find your whereabouts at Orus Hill No. 1 Elementary School and kill you too. It was the steward Stephen who brought you. He arrived in time and arrested all the people at a small gate in Orus Hill. Originally, he planned to keep them alive, but the other party all took poison and committed suicide. Later, he went through the vine and checked it and found that the other party was all from overseas, but the clue is interrupted there. Charlie asked, "Does he know who killed my parents?" Aunt Lena said, "It's just because they have not been able to find out who the gang was instigated by." So, Steward Stephen was afraid that mastermind behind the scenes would still want to disadvantage you, so he decided to hide your name in Orus Hill, so he sent us to come and take charge of the Orus Hill Welfare Institute. While protecting and taking care of you, we also conceal all information about you from the outside world. The only thing we fear is that the other party is not willing to let you go. Was Stephen instructed by the Wade family to do this?